Good morning, friends. A very welcome to you all. Myself Amit from Plutus IAS. Let us begin the Hindu analysis for 8th of October 2020. So let's begin our day with the thought of the day, which is from Buddha. Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. That is, your mind, your thoughts or your mind can be your best friend or they can be your worst enemy. They can be even worse than your worst enemy. So controlling your thoughts, having control on your mind is very much important. Guiding them, because a distributed light cannot have that impact which a guided laser light can have. So this is the power of thought. If they are concentrated towards a goal, the progress that they can give that cannot be achieved by the mind that is disturbed, which is spread over different ideas. So the thing is, you have to focus on one idea, you have to focus on one goal, and those disturbing and distracting thoughts from your mind, they need to be removed, they need to be controlled. Though they cannot be controlled in a full manner, but with practice and meditation, they can be controlled to a large extent. This was the same thing said by Krishna to this Arjuna in Gita. He said that Arjun, you have to control your mind, then only you can fight this war. So for every war you have to fight, you have to first win that war in your mind. Then only you can win that war in practical manner. Okay, so control your mind, control your thought, guide your energy towards your goal so that you can get the success you want, you desire. Okay, so now let us move on towards the next thing. Today we have death anniversary of Jayprakash Narayan. Okay, death anniversary of Jayprakash Narayan on 8th of October. His birth anniversary is on 11th of October. So I felt that he is a very prominent figure to be explained. So he is also called as JP or Lok Nayak, the leader of public. Okay, so he was a very prominent figure in Indian independence movement. He was an activist, he was a theorist, he was a socialist and a political leader. He did this his masters in this sociology from UK. Okay, and he also was the hero of Quit India movement. He did this underground work with Usha Mehta and Ram Manohar Lohia during the 1942 Quit India movement, where they were operating this underground radio. Okay, so he was involved in those underground activities that occurred during the 1942 Quit India movement along with Ram Manohar Lohia, and he was a very prominent leader, especially in the post-independence era, especially in the 1970s when he was opposing the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi for that power grabbing tendency of her. Okay, and the corruption which was prevailing and the unemployment and that inflation which was going on. So he gave the call of total revolution. His idea of total revolution was to invite students and the youth to protest against the government of the day, which cannot give them employment, food. Okay, food, because food insecurity was quite prevalent at that time because of the high inflation. Then unemployment was quite high. So this was kind of protest movement against the government, where the government was trying to grab the power in 1970s, right? You might remember the period of emergency. That period of emergency was only because of the wide scale protests were going on against the Indira Gandhi government, and that were led by Mr. Jayprakash Narayan. Also, he was awarded with Bharat Ratna, though it was posthumously in the year 1999, and he was also awarded with this Ramon Magsaysay Award. You might have heard about this Ramon Magsaysay Award, which is awarded by this in Philippines. Okay, and it is also called as Asian Nobel Prize, Ramon Magsaysay Award. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal was also a recipient of this Ramon Magsaysay Award, and yes, that Bez Barua. Not Bez Barua, Mr. Wilson, Bezwada Wilson, who was working for Safai Karmchari Andolan. They have these important personalities. They have got this Ramon Magsaysay Award. They have been recipient of this award. For Mr. Jayprakash Narayan, this award was given in the section of public service. There are, I think, 6 sections there. So he was awarded in the public service in the year 1965. and he has been a very prominent figure. If you have time, please do read about him more, so that you can get an idea about the 1970s post-independence era, which is part of your GS paper 1. Okay, GS paper 1. So this is it for now moving towards the news section, friend. So the news section, today's first news is Supreme Court has ordered that the public places cannot be occupied indefinitely. So let us check the background. We all know that under Article 19 we have freedom, and Article 19 ka one I think D is there, C or D, that sorry B, 19(1)(b), we have right to protest. This gives us right to protest, that is to collect peacefully, to gather peacefully at a particular location, gather unarmed or peacefully, and protest in a peaceful manner. So this is a kind of fundamental right, and I think with this right, the people in Shaheen Bagh, they were protesting against the government, against the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act. I think it has been for past 6-7 months, right? But due to COVID-19, there was lockdown, and now again they have started this protest. So the Supreme Court on Wednesday found that indefinite occupation of a public place, this public road, by Shaheen Bagh protesters is unacceptable. They have said that democracy and dissent go hand in hand, but then demonstrating dissent have to be in designated practices alone. The present case was not even of protest taking place in an undesignated area, so it was kind of blocking the public area. Okay, it was kind of hindering the public service that the government is providing to people, because they are sitting on the road, and road is a public property. So indefinite, this is against the law, and it cannot be accepted in such public place. Occupation cannot be done in an indefinite manner, that the Supreme Court has said. Okay, this one is all about the stubble burning. So you might know about that biodecomposers are being distributed. It is basically a liquid that has been developed by PUSA to biodegrade that residues that are being left in the crops in the field, right? So that was I discussed yesterday, and probably I think I discussed this yesterday. And today, to reduce this stubble burning, Haryana government has came up with new idea, and the idea is that goal of geo stubble burning can be achieved, and for this they have started an award that panchayats will be rewarded based on their performance of crop residue management. The first and second and third position will be awarded rupees 10 lakh, 5 lakh and 3 lakh respectively. So this is idea of Haryana Chief Secretary Vijay Vardhan to tackle this problem of stubble burning in Haryana, because recently the AQI index, the air quality index in recent days has started showing the low air quality in the Delhi NCR region. So this has to be curbed, and with other many efforts which the government is making, both the Delhi government and central government. So we hope this year we can see a better scenario of air pollution. So coming to the next topic, friend, I have told you about the Quad which has been going on between the 4 countries, US, Japan, Australia and India. And until now, they have been the agenda was quite secret. Though it was anti-China, but it was not in open. Okay, India was refraining, and even Australia was refraining, because Australia had quite trade dependence on China. But in past 1 year, this scenario has completely changed. The tensions between US and China have increased. Japan had already tensions because of those Senkaku and this Daiko Island. And Australia, the tensions with Australia has especially increased with China because of some trade disputes, some political disputes, and some other COVID vaccine related disputes. Okay, so and India is already having this LEC tensions. So all these countries have some kind of tension with China, which is increasing with the time. The reason being the aggressive nature of China, which is adamant to not to follow the international rule of law. So all these countries want freedom of navigation, international rule of law to be followed, so that every country can have their right, okay, proper right. Now coming to this meeting, so the first such meeting of Quad members was held on the alongside this UN General Assembly last year. But now these countries have come to the point that they want this meeting to be done, okay, and this has led to this meeting in Tokyo, second meeting of Australia, India, Japan and US quadrilateral strategic dialogue of foreign ministers held in Tokyo, and now it could be a kind of annual event, okay, now it could be an annual event. You can see how the countries want it to be done. The Japan, new Prime Minister of Japan, he said that he will be as active as the former Prime Minister Mr. Shinzo Abe. Mr. Yoshihide Suga, he said that he will be as proactive as his predecessor Shinzo Abe in organizing such meetings of Quad. Then Australian Foreign Minister attended the meeting despite being ready the 2-week quarantine that she has to face on return. Then Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jayashankar attended the meeting despite India being busy or preoccupied in LAC standoff, the government being preoccupied. Then US, Mr. Trump is now in hospital, and despite this, the US Secretary, who has recently cancelled the visits to South Korea and Mongolia, attended this meeting. So you can see how the countries are eager to attend this summit so as to take on steps against the Chinese aggression and to make a favoring the pandemic, building infrastructure in the Indo-Pacific region, and connectivity and supply chain initiative, and that AI and 5G also. So they are kind of collaborating in a manner so that they can have a proper arrangement, okay, to discuss the issues, interaction. But here comes a point for India that in India, what India will get, okay, Mr. Pompeo has said that to collaborate, they are collaborating to protect the region from what they call CCPs, the Chinese party, okay. CCP's exploitation, corruption and coercion, pointing to LAC standoff, Chinese aggression in South and East China Sea. But what India will get, the overall thing is what India will get. So here what we have learned that India till now has been rejecting this idea, or kind of avoiding this idea. The reason being that India will be dragged to the bilateral tensions in Indo-Pacific region. India will be dragged to Indo-Pacific region, and say if US has been quite aggressive, they want it to be a kind of militaristic alliance, okay, they want it to be a full-fledged military alliance. They have invited Australia now to that Malabar exercise. You know, Malabar exercise already conducted between India, Japan and US as an biannual event, and now Australia will also be invited to it. They have been discussing this in coming of or joining of Australia. But refraining of India seems kind of diluting here, and the problems that Modi government can face, that any shift could be unwise for now, because this India has very much to gain strategically from the capacity of building quadrilateral dialogue, but little impression being led by the Washington on important initiative for the region in which India is equal important stakeholder. Because here, see, the thing is, let me tell you with the map, this is India and this is this East China, okay, or you can say this Indo-Pacific. This is the entire Indo-Pacific region. So China, Japan, Australia have their tensions here in the Indo-Pacific. So India will be drawn or kind of dragged to these bilateral tensions of these countries with China, which India do not want to, because if we are able to handle our LAC tensions, why, and also India is with very strategic location in this zone, and if US comes into play, if both these countries, Japan and Australia, they are kind of bound to take action on the advice of US, because they have this kind of security treaty or alliance with the US. But for India, we are quite strategically autonomous till now. But if we join this Quad, we have to take directives from the US, especially in the region where we are in strategic position. We can decide for our own course. We have kind of very strategic location, and we are a kind of power in this region to be recognized. So taking directives from US could not be good for India in the long term. So India have to be worried that what we are taking, what we are getting from joining Quad. Okay, that's the kind of warning from this article. Moving on to the next article. So next article I will be talking about the flood estimation in India, or kind of you can say flood prediction. So first let me tell you about the flood losses in India. So this is data from Central Water Commission, which tells us that number of people killed between 1953 to 2017. So you can draw these kind of graphs in answer writing, that in 1953 the number of deaths were quite less, which increased. The year 70s, between 70s and 80s, later half of this decade had very severe floods. So 11,000 people died. But then the number was quite constant. So you can see the number is a bit more constant, and 2-3,000 people die every year due to floods in India. Even in this 2007, it is 3,000, and it comes to 2,000 in the year 2017. 2017, almost 2,000 people, 2,200 people died due to flood. So this 2,000 is a kind of normal figure that India is witnessing every year, and we know that more than 66% of India's region is affected by flood. And this is the total damage in rupees crores, 1953 to 2017, as per Central Water Commission data given to Lok Sabha. So this, you can see the graph is kind of increasing exponentially. And though climate change could be one of the reasons that the losses due to flood are increasing, but even our problems like the anthropogenic reasons like urbanization, urban sprawl, very fast rate, unplanned manner, then construction in those flood hazard zones. So all this is creating increase in loss due to flood, which is rising year on year, right? You can see the exponential curve here. So the things are here, that here I want to tell you the major domain I will be covering here is about the prediction of flood. If it can be done in a better manner, then the local administration in India, let me tell you the overall scenario. IMD or Indian Meteorological Department is the one which predicts the meteorology or the weather, whether it will be raining or not. Then this data is given to CWC, Central Water Commission. This Central Water Commission is basically the body which analyzes this data, whether there will be flood or not, what will be the level of water in rivers. It checks on rise and fall, and then it disseminates data to local administration like district disaster management authorities or other local administration, like local panchayats or district administration. So this is the overall scenario in India, and for this now we have recently accepted the deterministic model, and we can predict the flood 3 to 4 days in advance for now. So this overall article is talking about the problems with the prediction in India and how they can be resolved so that we can increase the lead time. The lead time is the time between the prediction of flood and its actual data dissemination to the administration. So if or actual occurrence of flood. So if we can increase this time between the prediction and the actual occurrence of flood, so we can basically give more time for preparedness to the administration, so that more losses of both lives and property can be avoided, can be reduced. This is the main thing. Okay, so what we are doing, let us see what we are doing. I have told you this whole scenario, remember this. Okay, now what we are doing, basically the problem is at the 4 levels. They say that first let me tell you about ensemble estimation and deterministic estimation. So India is doing kind of deterministic prediction of flood, because when there is this rise in flood level, they have marked that whenever there is rise of flood river level above this, there will be flood. So now the flood has come, there is hardly any time left to disseminate information. So this is deterministic model where we know that definitely the flood is coming. So India is following this model, and recently we have moved to this model. So we are way back from the ensemble model, where data from the sky, the Doppler radars that are used, they use the reflective light from the clouds to check whether the rain would be there or not. Then they define a probability that when it will rain. Then this probability is then the analytics of data using artificial intelligence gives the idea that what are the chances or what is the probability of flood occurrence in next 7 to 10 days. So this ensemble method can give you flood prediction for 7 to 10 days. Okay, so here I am just giving you one idea, that is ensemble. So this is just one point to write in your flood answer. Ensemble method of prediction. India should move towards this, because developed countries like US, Japan and Europe has accepted this model. They have moved on to this model. And India also needs to shift from deterministic to ensemble model of flood prediction. But you must have idea what ensemble is. So ensemble is about probability that what would be the flood after 7 to 10 days. So the Western countries have moved to this one. But India is still on the deterministic model, and we have this problem of multiple agencies like IMD and CWC are working together, and they have this problem of data collection and dissemination and analysis. Then we have this problem of technology. We are still using the old statistical method of forecasting. Okay, the old statistical method, while the Western countries are now using this Google based AI system which uses hydrological data to predict when the rain will be. Okay, then we have no uniform data across India. Okay, and no uniform method also. So this created kind of problem of coupling the data of one organization with the other. So if CWC, Central Water Commission's technology, is not at par with the IMD or vice versa, this will lead to kind of improper dissemination and will kind of drag the other one back. Okay, so this analysis of data will not be effective to prevent the disaster. So outdated technology is one such region which gives lack of technological parity between multiple agencies. Then what about ensemble technology? I have told you about the ensemble technology. So this this is all about that butterfly flap, because weather is a quite complex phenomena. MIT's Mr. Edward Lorenz was the believer of that butterfly effect. I told you about the butterfly effect. Even a butterfly flapping wings at one place can create a tornado at different place, miles away, thousands of miles away. So weather is a quite complex phenomena, but still we can use the technology to improve our predictions, and India need to shift towards this ensemble technology so that we can compute more data and have better analysis and can have better lead time. For now, IMD have been using the 6.8 petaflops of supercomputer, both Pratyush and Meher. But still we are way behind the speed of the supercomputers of the Western countries. So we need to do comment about the fastest supercomputer of the world, which has been recently released by Japan. Tell me the name and comment. Okay, still to catch up with the advanced technology. So we still need to have modernize our infrastructure to raise our technological compatibility. Then only we can compute the basics of hydrological, hydrodynamic and inundation modeling, and we can predict better. And thus we also need the capable workforce. Because let me tell you why. Okay, so this was just to give you an idea how prediction in India is done. So, Jal Shakti Minister Mr. Ratan Lal Kataria in 2019 told the Rajya Sabha that India suffered loss of rupees 95,000 crore in the year 2018. 95,000 crore, that means 1 lakh crore was the loss of India due to floods. Can you imagine 2 lakh crore was the that scam, 2G scam? Such a kind of very big figure it is. Hardly 48,000 crore is the overall allocation to Manrega. That means thousands of people can be given universal basic income if we can reduce this loss due to flood. And this is 2.6 times the loss in 2017. So we can predict that climate change is causing the increase in losses to India. So we need to move towards this ensemble prediction model and take other step for reducing the flood problem of India, because more than 60% of India's region is prone to floods. Okay, so that was the editorial, friends. And now this one is all about the World Bank's recent report, which is a biennial poverty shared prosperity report. This is basically in the wake of this COVID-19, and they say that it will be the first time then where the poverty or the overall poverty of the world will increase. It is for the first time in 20 years, because of the disruption caused by COVID-19, that the extreme poverty would rise. Okay, and they say that apart from the 88 million people who are already under extreme poverty, apart from people who are already in the extreme poverty, 88 to 115 million people could be added to be pushed under this extreme poverty. You know, extreme poverty line, below people earning or living below $1.5 per day. Though its actual definition is $1.9 per day given by this World Bank. Okay, World Bank, $1.9 per day expenditure of an individual. Okay, so this is the scenario where this will impact more to the middle income countries, where more people will slip into below poverty line, especially the sub-Saharan Africa, where 27 to 40 million new poors may be added. Same is the case with South Asia, where almost 49 to 57 million new poor may be added, predicts the World Bank. Okay, and this could lead to increase of 1.4% of the world population to fall in extreme poverty. And we all know that people in extreme poverty are living in very pathetic condition. They are unable to utilize their potential, have enough food, and thus they kind of become a burden rather than hence to join the global workforce. Okay, so the whole thing is that for India, they say that there is lack of data, and the government has not published this 2017-18 All India Household Consumer Expenditure Survey, which is of the 75th round, and this has created a kind of very gap in understanding poverty in South Asia. Then in India, the report says that India could account for 139 million people out of 689 of those under extreme poverty in the year 2017. Of those under poverty, okay, living in poverty, we have our 21% of the population under poverty. Okay, though there has been variation, 29% according to Tendulkar committee and 21% according to Rangarajan committee. Somewhat data is there, but Niti Aayog has come with the idea that what poverty ratio is there is not the issue in India. The issue is we need to select the beneficiaries. Targeting the beneficiaries is important, and SEC data is now one such data. Social Economic Caste Census of 2011 has become very important data in targeting the beneficiaries in India now. So government has announced this 20 lakh crore package, and we are still working, the government is still working on it, and we feel that extreme poverty could be reduced, as it is under SDG 1 to eliminate the extreme poverty from the world by the year 2030. Okay, so let's move on. The next article is for the chemistry Nobel, which has been given to Emmanuel Charpentier of France and Jennifer Doudna of US. It is the first time that a woman-only team has won the Nobel Science Prize. Okay, and both these ladies, they have worked on this scissor or kind of cutting the DNA. Okay, DNA of animals, plant, and microorganism with very extremely high precision. So this has got very much kind of revolutionized the impact in life sciences and contributing to new cancer therapy. You know, the DNA is a kind of band of proteins. So cutting one gene from this using this CRISPR technology, this CRISPR-Cas9 technology of DNA snipping, could reduce or alternate the functions that the DNA performs. Okay, so because every gene is like a switch, so cutting this would automatically eliminate the function that this gene performs, right? So various genes have various roles, like there have been this formation of sweet corn by this cutting gene technology, where sweet corn earlier had a very complex carbohydrate, but this CRISPR technology led cutting of these carbohydrate into smaller molecules so that they can be easily digested and do not increase the level of insulin. So biotechnology has kind of revolutionized with this CRISPR-Cas9 technology, and yes, it has been an important question in UPSC also. Let me tell you, this is going to lead the groundbreaking new medical treatments, but it has got the other side too. In 2018, Chinese scientist this He Jiankui caused an international scandal where he used CRISPR-9 to create first gene-edited human. So suppose if our genes are being removed somehow, that particular function that gene performs will not be there. So kind of new race of humans could be created which will lead to evolution of a different kind and can cause a havoc, because we all know that living modified organism could be could have positive or negative impact both. Okay. Now coming to this last page, friends. So this is all about ethics. I have covered it for the purpose of ethics, right? So here the thing is that Google recently there has been allegations on Google from the Indian startups. Indian startups have alleged the Google, this tech giant, that they have been abusing the Android operating system's position in the smart television market to suppress the other players in the market. So Competition Commission of India has been looking into these allegations, where it has been said that Google has been engaged in anti-competitive practices because they own the Android now. So they are kind of creating barriers for firms wanting to use or develop the modified version of Android or smart TVs. So you can see the conflict of interest arises if you own this Android, Google own this Android, and they say that it is a free platform, but now they are using it to suppress the rise of others in the market. So it is kind of conflict of interest they have. They are using this free platform for their own interest. So this is kind of unethical, right? So this can be used in ethics, this can be used in other places as well. Now the last one is all about the RACE Virtual Summit 2020. I told you about Mr. Modi and Anil Ambani addressing it yesterday. Today Mr. Brath, President of Chief Legal Officer of Microsoft, he has been saying that the face recognition technology could be misused by the government, okay, and they can hamper the democratic principles and freedoms which are being provided in the largest democracies of the world. He is saying that the freedom of expression we people have want to express our freedom to assemble or to protest against the government could be snatched if the government uses this technology for surveillance purpose. So the peaceful protests that are going on could be reduced. You all might have seen that after this protest against CAA, boats were there in some states having photos of those doing violence. So these kind of surveillance or monitoring, though it can be good to some extent, but they are kind of more harming the society, because there is no proper evidence that these particular people actually are. So government can misuse this whenever they want, and especially given this facial recognition. Okay, so there should be proper balance, and he says that deploying AI will help in accelerating the economic growth faster. So India is now a kind of leader in AI. Not leader, but still we are trying to become a leader, and the research going on in India is very very great. Okay. With this, I would like to end today's The Hindu analysis, and I hope I have contributed well to your knowledge. Thank you and have a nice day, friends.